That is pretty sweet.
It is.
It's a little blurry.
That's okay.
Just for our viewers' delight right here.
And here we are. Hardcast Podcast, Episode 4. Dr. Trent Kerr, Bryan Baker, coming at you live.
Man, 4 in a row.
4 in a row. And
History
what everybody just saw, new intro for the Hardcast Podcast. Producer Trent took care of that for us because she knows we would never come up with something like that.
No idea.
Yes.
And I loved it. That was perfect. It looked good. Did the viewers like it? Let's give them a thumbs up. If you
Clear,
like it.
concise, like, and subscribe. That's the most important thing, like and subscribe. And like I said in my post before, even if you have no goal to ever watch us again, please like and subscribe. And you can also, like on YouTube and all that stuff, it'll tell you that we're coming on, so you never miss an episode.
It lets them know.
Yeah. And this episode, episode 4 of the Roundtable, it's going to be me, you. Cash is going to pop in on here. Is going to be brought to you commercial free. And you're asking, once again, commercial free. And you're asking, how can that be commercial free? Because our sponsors have paid for this to be commercial free. And that's just a joke because we have no sponsors yet.
I thought you were coming with something.
511 Tactical. Get them for your needs, for your weight vest needs, grip needs, anything. Vest. I have a 511 vest. Love that vest. 511 Tactical.
Yeah.
Brought to you, the Hardcast Podcast, brought to you by 511 Tactical. All right. Unstable loading. Do you wish you had more force and used unstable loading? Brute force. Sandbags, sandballs. They do that. Come on, guys.
You were the promo guy. You were the hype guy.
Hey, they just need to like and subscribe. Man. Be on here.
Guys,
they could
right
be
here.
They could be bringing you hardline commercial free. All right, let's bring. Hey, Cash, how are you doing? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
I cannot hear you.
Cannot hear me.
Let's see.
Cash looks like he's been working out.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us? I got you.
Cash, you don't really speak it. You live it, don't you? You just get out of the gym?
I'm in it. We just did our strength.
Gotcha.
And I got a little break, or I've been taking a break, and then we're going to go do some more stuff. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. We were just telling the viewers that this is going to be brought to you commercial free by our sponsors that we do not have yet.
Oh.
So, yes, they've paid for this commercial free. You won't see a break in the action, but if 511 Tactical or Brute Force Sandbags wants to sponsor, they can
and
do
I'm
that.
thinking Next Muscle South Metro as well.
They're a natural sponsor.
Oh,
they're a natural sponsor. Speaking of that, Bryan, this week we opened it up to viewer questions, right? We said, you guys have questions, we're going to answer them for you. We had a bunch roll in. I know we have you for just a small time before you've got to go crush it again. So we're going to kind of go through nutrition questions and supplement questions that we had while you're on. And then we can touch on other things that kind of have to do with both training and nutrition. Now, a lot of people's questions come to us. They're like, Bryan, Trent, Cash, what supplements do you guys seriously use? What do you guys truly believe in, and what do you use every day?
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw that to the guru himself. What do you use every day, and what do you truly believe in?
So I think what do I is the first question. So what do I use? I break it down into daily supplements that I'm going to take every day, health, whether I'm sick or not, or training or not, whatever my lifestyle is. They're lifestyle supplements, and then I have performance supplements, right?
So you're going to break those down. Can you break those down for us? Okay.
Yep. So lifestyle supplements, I take a multivitamin, I take a turmeric, I take a fish oil, I take a D, I take a beets powder, and I take creatine every day, no matter the day. And I'll travel with those. I'll bring those to the firehouse, whether I'm training or not. That's what makes me feel good. If you get questions about, am I taking supplements to make an expensive bowel movement? Am I taking supplements to pee them out? Am I just, why do I need to take a multivitamin? And if I eat well, or why do I need to take a fish oil if I eat fish? Well, it's the quality, unfortunately, of the food that we do or don't get in the U.S. It's if you're taking a multivitamin or daily supplements, like I just mentioned, for everything that's on the bottle, if this makes sense, like your supplements are to supplement a whole food diet. So I might get 1,000% of my C, D, and K from whole food, but I might drastically be deficient in zinc, magnesium, a bunch of other things that I'm not getting in my diet. So I don't take a multivitamin, or I don't recommend a multivitamin, for example, because that's the most versatile, to get everything on the nutrition fact. It's to plug in where we're deficient. Same with omega, same with D. Like everybody is deficient in D. D became popular in COVID because it's immune function and cancer, I won't say cancer prevention, but putting us into a healthy place for combating some of those free radicals and some of those things. So like we get a ton of sun. Colorado's got 300 and some odd days of sunshine, but we're still deficient in D. And to supplement that would be definitely one also. So,
well, I think people get confused too, or they don't get confused. They just forget that these are supplements.
Right.
These are supplemental to a healthy diet, right? And I think we all probably started at the same place. I know I did. When I was a kid, I got a Flintstone vitamin.
Love that.
I looked forward to it.
Dino was
And
my
then,
favorite.
yeah,
That's what I always
right?
try to get Dino.
And then you get to a certain age and your parents are like, too old for Flintstone vitamins. But they don't get you anything else. There's nothing cool.
Well, I'm telling you now, we have the teens, right? So we do that with our kids. Our
Okay.
kids each have the male teen, the female teen.
Oh,
So they did come up with that.
Oh,
It's been a while for
yeah,
you.
I guess.
Yeah, so our kids are on those as well. Now, Brian, what's turmeric? What do you use that for?
I use turmeric, and like we have in the notes, like this is a whole nother multiple show.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
There's the quality of supplements, where they're manufactured, how we're getting them, how we're refining them, can my body absorb them? All of those things start to matter. But in a very small segment, turmeric, anti-inflammatory,
Okay.
gut health, good for inflammation. So
Now, Brian, you talked about those kind of the healthy lifestyle, the ones that everybody can be taking.
Sure.
What about ones that you're taking for, I hate to use a word, but it might be correct, performance?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, performance. Yeah, I mean, there's sports performance-based supplements, and then there's general health supplements.
Yeah, sure.
There's
Okay.
weight loss supplements. There's hormone supplements. So, I mean, from a performance perspective, something in the combination, whether I'm putting it together in like powder form, but I think really.
I think we
did we
froze.
lose him?
I think we froze.
Froze.
Yeah, he's froze.
So
I hope there's a supplement for that. I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah.
We'll get him back. But what he's basically touching on is there's two ways to look at supplements. There's ones to fill in where your diet, and hopefully it's a healthy diet, can't check all the boxes. Right. And he's saying sometimes just where we live in the US.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, we lost you for a little second. I was kind of filling in the blanks, but go ahead.
Yeah. So creatine, beta alanine, L-citrulline would be three big ones that I take and that I would put in somebody's sports performance repertoire. Citrulline, 4 to 6 grams is clinical dose. Beta alanine is 3.2 grams clinical dose. Creatine.
And that's the good one because it kind of gives you the little pins and needles, right?
Well, I think you need to explain these a little bit because I know we have viewers out there that have no idea. As
Yeah.
you're looking at, and I know it's a full show, and I think he's froze again. But as we look at this, because there are things that, I think the avid, or not the avid, but the novice is looking at, all right, I need protein.
Right.
I might need a carb supplement.
Right.
I might need something to make me not as sore. So
Mhm.
BCA,
Right.
and amino acid. So as we look at this, trying to break those down again, it is another full show.
It is a full show, and
Yeah.
and you're right. Yeah, because you get to the point that you're like, man, there's so many supplements up there. Like if you walk into a store, it's beautiful. It's big, it's beautiful, and there's a ton of stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just going over clinical dose. I mention these things because we can find pre-workouts, we can find supplements at Costco or wherever, internet, we'll say whatever, that have these ingredients in them, but they're not in any form of adequate dosing.
Right.
So the industry pumps supplements we'll talk about pre-workouts and performance supplements, specifically with like niacin and caffeine, because it elicits a feeling, right? A response. And it's like that. Okay, I drink this, I get an upper, I go train. We can get into that as well. Like, but I won't say knowing your dosing, but knowing what's in your product and knowing your dosing of the intent of what it's being taken for is very critical.
And that's why they probably kind of need to come talk to you, right?
Yeah, and we can have one-on-one Q&As. You
right.
guys, anybody can reach out to me. But yeah, knowing those things, in addition to knowing, we are caffeine is a crutch, right? We utilize caffeine as an energy source or an upper. Keep in mind when we're doing that, we're vasoconstricting and we're increasing heart rate. So in some of the movements and workouts that you're programming and that we all do, we potentially don't need an increased heart rate because that's getting revved up through training anyway. So it's something to be aware of. And as I increase that cortisol, that tension, that smooth muscle contraction, it inhibits my expansion of lung. It inhibits my expansion of arterial blood flow. So I don't get that vasodilation. And I'm not performing, right? At the end of the day, I'm not performing. My output isn't great or as great as it could be. We've heard terms of VO2 max. We've heard terms of, how quick lactic acid threshold and how quickly I'm recovering. That's where performance-based supplements are going to be critical. Whether you're just getting into training, what's the biggest inhibitor that you guys see when people start training? I'm sore. I hurt. I don't want to do it tomorrow because I did it so much yesterday. My glutes and my quads are sore, so I can't squat or run today. Okay, but we got to work through that. And that
just leads to never doing leg day.
Right. Then I just never want to do those things again. And then I just don't want to ever squat again. And I hate running because it hurts. Well, one form and there's work throughs on that, but that's where supplements can assist in getting you not only motivated, but specifically recovered. So.
And Bryan, I'm going to kind of bookmark this because this is something we need to come back to at a different day, because we could spend a whole show on this, and I would like to. I did get a viewer question in, and I think I sent it to you, so I think we're good here. But it's kind of a nutrition and training question. Okay, so it's you deal with nutrition all the time. You put people on nutrition plans, but the one I got in was a guy that does intermittent fasting. Okay, and he does it, and he eats at, let's say, 11 or 12. I don't think that's important, but he works out in the morning. He feels great, right? He trains on intermittent fasting, feels great, takes his pre-workout, does his stuff, but he wants to make sure that he's getting up in age. He's younger than me, but it hurt my feelings when he said he's getting up in age. But he's getting up in age. He wants to make sure that he can train on intermittent fasting, still get gains that he needs, and he's not hurting himself in the long term.
So my questions to him or you through him, what is the measurable? What are we measuring for success?
I think he's measuring how all he's measuring is basically where he's at in his strength numbers and how he feels. It's all based on he feels good. He just wants to make sure that as he trains like this for years in the future, that he's not hurting himself by not having energy on board, basically.
Hurting yourself is an extreme, right? Are we maximizing the 90 minutes of training at 9 a.m. coming off of a 12 to 16 hour fasted window?
Right.
Questionable. Right. Questionable.
I agree.
Depending on how fit, what the output is of that individual, are we...
And we're not talking like a competitive athlete or wants to be a competitive athlete. We're just talking about a person who's probably above average fitness level, but just wanting to be healthy. So look good, feel good. Yep.
So the biggest thing that I would say without, him in front of us would be if he's recovering, okay, good job. Something's working. How are we measuring strength and or performance? Are his lifts increasing? Is his mobility increasing? Is his mile time reducing? Whatever. Is that consistently improving?
Oh, there it is again.
Yeah, I think think Brian's frozen again, but like he's saying, it's all about the measurables, right?
Yeah.
Coming in, we're on a fasted system. Are we getting the most out of what we could, especially with strength and the metabolic conditioning? I've got my own opinion on it, and Brian has his. But some of those can be questionable because you don't have those energy stores.
And there's no fuel. In
Some say you do, though, because you're burning your fat as fuel first. So go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
So no, the skeletal muscle mass piece, I would say, like, what is he looking like in his overall shirt off? You know, what is he looking like from an appearance perspective as far as aesthetic?
Yep.
What is his skeletal muscle mass? So what is he at? Is he still building and or maintaining?
Gotcha.
It's one thing just to reduce fat or appearance of fluffiness, but are we atrophying muscle? So that inevitably, here's your answer. And when we intermittent fast and we want performance out of our body and we're at that back end of the window of our fast, we're going into some form of training with nothing in the tank. So our body, based on amino acid profile and what it wants to do to stay alive and what it fuels itself off on with ATP and muscle firing, is burning of muscle, right? If we don't have fuel, we're going to atrophy muscle. I use this example. Marathon runners are better athletes than me. They're amazing athletes, but they're not the physique that I would want, right?
Sure.
And the reason is because their caloric output is so much greater than their caloric input. Very simple math, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm burning more than I'm putting in the...
And we froze again. And basically saying if we're burning more than we're putting in the tank, something's got to give. And it's not always fat.
No, it comes down to that skeletal muscle mass he was talking about.
Yep.
And that's one thing. So you're the guy that asked this question. So what is he working at like a 6 a.m. so he's still not eating till 11, or is he able to fuel right after his workout?
I think he's fueling shortly after his workout. I'm not going to say it's right after, but I don't think it's an early morning workout. This is a fireman. So I think he's doing his workout after he takes on shift. So he's able to eat after it, but I'm not going to say shortly after it. So yeah. Brian, you back?
Yeah. So marathon runner, general vanity, physique, strength, performance guy. And that's why we need those constants. Are we eating to support and maintain the muscle mass that we have, or are we actually growing in measurable consistency for measurements and volume and body fat and muscle density? If those things are trending positively, then perfect. Then keep doing what you're doing, sir. But if they're not, then you want to keep intermittent fasting, then either put your training somewhere else, right? Either
move it to the afternoon. Yeah.
Correct. Put it in the afternoon. Put it in the end of your fast, right? So you fasted, train, fuel immediately, and then we're good to keep fueling for the next 8 to 12 hours, right? So it's not the fact that intermittent fasting is detrimental. It needs to be massaged to work for the individual's output, right?
Totally agree.
Where we see intermittent fasting faked, just like keto and all these other ones faked, is like, okay, I get a 10-hour window or an 8-hour window, I'm going to eat anything under the sun. Well, that's not intermittent fasting. That's just indulging and starving and indulging, right? That's not intermittent fasting. Yeah. So we still have to be conscious of that fueling window and what we're consuming. And our biggest, and we talked about this meeting one or call one, write down your measurables. If you truly don't have a way to measure success, then you're just blindly going about it.
Right. So you're going on feel.
Yeah, we're going on feel.
Yep.
Yeah. No progressive overload. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where you're ending. And that's
you got to know where you start
to
get to where you want to go.
Going in and exercising.
Totally agree. And I think Brian froze again. And when we get him back, I know he's got to get going. But we'll try to hit this on other shows too.
It's great because you look at all those people that have shift work, like you were talking about, or people in the graveyard. Yeah. Like how do people at the graveyard go? They're working that shift. They're getting off at 6 a.m. or whatever it is. Do they go work out right away, or would it be better, to go maybe rest a little bit, fuel up a little bit, then be able to go to the gym before you go to work?
Totally agree.
So and what feels good for you and what you can.
And Brian, I know we got you back. Want to properly send you off because I know you got to get going here. So. Well, we touched on those. We'd love to get you back because I'd love to touch these topics again, especially this intermittent fasting and the ketosis thing, right? So would love to touch on that. Would love to touch on the supplements thing, but I know you got to get running. Appreciate your time, brother.
Yes,
And,
sir. Thank you, guys.
We'll hook it up again, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Fuel up and go get the next
Yeah,
round.
that's right.
There's some heavy hitters, man. I'm struggling to keep up. So we'll talk.
You got this. You got this.
All right. We'll
All
see
right. Thank you.
Thanks, Cash.
So what we kind of talked about and what basically, sorry about that. Wow. Anyway.
Somebody checking in.
Yes, yeah, it's probably a sponsor. It's probably a sponsor. I'm doing a podcast. Anyway, we talked about it, right? You gotta know where you start before you get going.
Right.
And we talked about intermittent fasting, kind of rolling in to a say 90-minute workout where you're doing strength and you're doing metabolic conditioning. Another question that came to me, and I know you've gotten this before, is hey, if I'm going to do strength and I'm going to do metabolic conditioning, which one do I put first?
Right.
Which goes first, right? So I've got my opinions on it. Kind of wanted to see where you stood. Am I doing strength, then hitting a hard Metcon, or I'm doing a Metcon and then I'm taking a little rest and then hitting strength? What do you think?
I think it all comes down to your goals.
Sure.
And I think each workout, your goal might be different.
Mhm.
I know in the programming that we create for people, we have where we've put Metcons at the beginning of it.
Mhm.
And maybe it is, maybe you're doing 2-a-days, right? So you get up and you're on a fasted Metcon,
Right.
where you are just going through and trying to burn that fat.
Sure.
And then you're fueling your body and you come back and you do a strength later. in the
What
day.
if this is the same
If
session?
you're in the same session, I think again, what are you looking for? I know numerous times, being in the gym with you, we'd go in and we'd hit our strength right away. So
Mhm.
we'd hit our heavy back squat, our heavy deadlift, and then we'd hit the Metcon.
Right.
But I know other times where we'd hit that Metcon right away. Maybe it was a lighter Metcon, maybe it was body weight, those type of things. And then, give about a 15, 20-minute rest and then
Then we're
hit
back
that strength training. So
Yeah.
I think it's really your goal, what you're looking for.
Yes, ma'am.
We got it.
Can you talk in the mic, please?
Oh,
Producer Trent is taking care of some technical
is this better?
difficulties.
Am I out? Am I in?
I would move it onto your white shirt.
Is your green light on?
Sorry, everybody.
Oh, we're losing sponsors. Oh, gosh.
On the white shirt.
You want me to get it?
Yes.
Anyway, guys, we're taking care of some technical
How are we now?
difficulties.
Lower.
That is our
Lower.
producer. That is our producer, Trinity, taking care of these here.
Talk. What do you think?
I am. Anyway, so yeah, what I think is kind of what Trent was just talking about is strength before Metcon. I think that I'm gonna ride the fence on this. You should train it all. You should do it all.
Do it all. I got
Do
you.
it all.
Okay.
Mix it up. But I think primarily, if you're truly working on strength, it should go before. And it's
Okay.
kind of like what we touched on with Cash. It's because you're going to get your best lifts there. So if you're truly going to go after an 85% front squat for a 5x5, say at 85%, probably going to need to do that at the beginning, because if you do a metabolic conditioning and you go hard, like you should,
Right.
if you were to do that afterwards, you're probably not going to touch 85%, and your 5x5 is probably going to be more. It's going to have to go by RPE,
Right.
A rate of perceived exertion, right? Because that 85% is probably, you might get it for 3 now. So now you're looking for, so I think if you're truly going for strength before, then rest, hit your Metcon, but you should train them both,
Yeah.
right? Because there's always going to be those times where we have a workout and then we're going to, you know what? Let's do some power
A little
cleans.
more.
Let's do a little bit more. But this is coming from, and this is a programming thing too, right? So what are we looking to do?
Right.
What are we looking to do? Because if you go back into CrossFit programming from the early stages from Glassman, you don't do both.
No.
You do, one day's just strength, and then the next day you're doing metabolic conditioning. You
Right.
never saw them doubled up. I think it became when people started owning their gyms and people are paying for memberships, and I'm like, I can't have Trent come in and pay me XYZ membership, and I just have him doing a 5x5 back squat.
Right. Right.
Which, if you did a 5x5 or a 5x10 back squat as hard as you could, intensity wise, you wouldn't be able to walk out of there very well.
And I think that's the thing that people don't do
right.
is we don't push our body to that
Right.
limit, that brink. And,
Right.
And like you say, so no, I'm completely behind it and with what you're saying. And I think it all, again, comes back to your goal. Like you said, what's your goal of the day? Are you really
Mhm.
trying to push that strength?
Right.
Or are you trying to get that Metcon, really hit it?
Yeah,
then
is
maybe
it-
afterward we're trying to maybe just go for reps.
Yeah.
Just trying to get more reps in and just getting our
A little bit of
muscles,
balance.
a little
Yeah.
more endurance,
Yeah.
getting a little more cardiovascular going.
Right.
So it really comes down to day to day.
Yeah, because you're not going to max out. You're not going to go for a 1 rep max squat clean after you just hit Fran,
No.
right?
Oh.
But and that
That's a
brings
great
me
word.
to some. I know.
Oh,
That brings me
right.
to some other programming stuff, because we had another question that you brought to my attention that was like, programming. What are you doing for beginners,
Yeah.
intermediates, and your advanced athletes? How are you programming for all levels and it kind of looking the same?
And I really like this question because it was from an individual that is a coach. And
Awesome.
But himself getting up there a little bit in age.
Oh,
Around
what is he,
our age.
40s?
He's around our age. He's up there a little bit.
Yeah.
But wondering, okay, so how does that look like for those beginning athletes? And then him at his age wanting to kind of get into it a little bit,
Sure.
but not knowing that proper.
And it's always that uneasy, like,
right.
And we had this a number of times, and I know people have asked you that wanted to get started in CrossFit, which can be a bad word to people, or
Right.
functional fitness. They're like, man, I feel like I should get in shape before I start this. It's like, well, I can, it can be intimidating. I get it.
That's any workout program. Though,
It
right?
is- it really
you
is.
just have to get in the gym.
Right.
Don't let that be an excuse. And we do all sorts. We do CrossFit. We do strength training. We do
All sorts,
power
circus,
building, the whole thing.
acrobatics. Yeah. I mean, Barnum Bailey Circus, be a sponsor. Anyway, yeah, it's getting there's the hardest part, right? But when you brought that to my attention, I was like, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. And I come from the old school. Like, I first took my CrossFit level 1 in 2010, right? Where it was we didn't even have a CrossFit gym in this county.
No.
The nearest one was like 50 miles away. But programming was, you programmed for the best and you scaled for the rest.
Okay.
And I still go by that, right? So when I'm looking at, say I'm looking at a Metcon, I'm going 20-minute Metcon. I've got a triplet picked out. I've got these 3 movements. I program for you, right? I program for Trent because he's usually my best, and then I'll scale for everybody else, whether it be weights, whether it be movements, right? Because looking at one of these workouts that we're doing for the 24 Hero Watts is 25 pull-ups. I think it's 25 chest to bar, 10 muscle-ups, 1.5 mile run, 10 muscle-ups, and then 25 chest to bar pull-ups. And you're going to get people that are like, I can do 0 of that, right? Well, cool. Well, I've got people who can do all of that, and then I scale for the rest, whether that be muscle-up progressions, whether it be banded pull-ups, whether it be jumping pull-ups. We're going to make it fine. Maybe you don't want to run. Maybe we'll row. So I program for the best, scale for the rest, and then it looks like beginner to advanced, because every person needs the same thing, not in the same degree, but in kind they do. Meaning, especially when I had a gym, when I had an advanced athlete and a 75-year-old grandma of 3, they need the same exact thing. Movement is medicine, right? It's a cure for the world's most vexing problem. I've got one that just has to be super advanced at it, and one that happens to be a beginner. I just bring the degrees down, but the workouts might not look exactly alike, but they're the same.
Yeah.
Same stimulus for both of them. They get the same out of what they need. Does that kind of
It
make
does,
sense?
and I
Okay.
think it even goes into kids, right?
Exactly.
So that grandma and the 10-year-old that's in the gym wanting to get moving and going. And that was another question that we had, when it's too early or not.
Yeah.
But I think that 10-year-old, the same thing that you said, you prescribed for it. So maybe you're doing the ring pull-ups, right?
Absolutely.
We're down, we're just hitting those ring pull-ups. And then they're not running a mile probably,
Right.
but maybe they're running a 400.
Yeah.
And then they're coming back and hitting it again. So,
Mhm. Or maybe they're playing a game that just that involves running.
right.
And they don't even realize they're running. They think they're just playing a game.
Yeah.
And that's when people are like, because when I was a kid, when weights were talked about with kids, it was like, it's going to stunt your growth.
Everything.
Every time.
All I heard.
Yeah. It's going to
Oh,
stunt
yeah.
your growth. You can't do that. It's going to
I'm
stunt
only
your growth.
5'10".
Yeah.
I didn't lift
man.
weights. Maybe
Yeah.
I should have lifted weights.
So, but the thing is, and when you talk about kids, they build muscle and they get stronger as kids by connecting the neuromuscular connections from the brain to the muscle, basically.
Right.
So they just need to innervate those nerves constantly all the time. And it's not by lifting heavier weights. It's by just doing the movements.
Moving.
So you could have a young kid with PVC for years, and they're going to build the same as that kid that you think can build muscle with giving them weight. It's not the same. It's
Right.
I mean, it's the movements are the same, but just because this kid has weight and this kid doesn't mean this kid's going to get stronger. It's just not
Right.
the way those kids are built. And movement's key, and quality of movement's key, and that's at any age. Quality of movement's key, but especially as kids, we want to get them moving so well, and that's when you're mobile.
Oh, and you pick it up so fast.
Oh, yes.
You try to take me and 45 years old.
Can't
and
teach an old dog new tricks.
No, it is. You're trying to teach a squat clean for the first time, and it's tough.
Yeah.
But if you start it when they're younger and start, like you said, with the PVC, I remember one of the clients that you did have brought her 2-year-old son in, and he was cleaning better than most people because he'd been doing it. He'd watch mom, and he just mimicked it, and boy, he could do the movement, and he had it going on. So I think that's one thing. And I taught PE for a few years and started in elementary school, and it was great. We'd do the brain gym stuff, so we'd do the cross body symmetry, all those things to have your brain on both sides, your right and left hemisphere, be able to connect to your muscles and your movement. And then just going on to body weight, right? So we teach the proper form of a squat. We teach push-ups, pull-ups, the whole thing that you're talking about. And that just through life just builds.
Well, it's the first building block of fitness.
Yeah.
Is how do you move your body through space without weight?
And for a beginner or for the youth.
Yeah.
I think it's all the same. Or for the somebody that has passed, they might have been a great bodybuilder at one time, but they're past that now, and they're just trying to maintain something.
Well, you could be in incredible shape and never touch a weight.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Are you going to be specialized? Are you gonna power clean and snatch? Obviously not, because you're not doing weight. But you could be in incredible shape by just doing your body weight programming that you do for hardline.
Right.
Incredible.
Yeah, you see it all the time, and
You really do.
So many, especially I think when the pandemic hit, people didn't have a gym, right?
Right.
They weren't being able to do it.
Right.
But you saw people still being able to get out there and use their yard or use the equipment they had in their house or just their bodies,
right?
And come up with it. Or bands are great to be able to bring in that just a little resistance. But a towel, anything that you have in your home can be used resistance to get.
I mean, if you learn to move your body through space and you're conditioning your body and you get all this kinesthetic awareness, stuff becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
And then when you decide to dabble into lifting weights or do this, so much easier, right? Because we always touch on technique first, right? Then you can add weight. But intensity doesn't come till those two things are there. And then it's kind of like a roller coaster, right? You like, okay, so take Fran. I know we don't like to talk about it, but it's thrusters and pull-ups. And the thrusters is basically a front squat that goes into a press. That's all it is, right? For those that don't know. But you work on the technique, front squat into a press with PVC, and then you can kind of speed it up, right? And then you can get a barbell, and then you're, again, technique. And then once you get comfortable with the technique with that weight, then you can add intensity, and then you go up in weight, and then you work on technique, and then weight, and the technique, it goes up and down. It's a yo-yo the whole time, because you're not just going to go up in weight and add in the same intensity.
No.
It's not going to happen,
No.
right? So, man, we could talk about that to where,
it all goes in, but it's just like anything. So if you are nervous out there and think you need to be in shape to get in shape, you don't.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
Show up and we'll get you. And even if you come from a bodybuilding background or a strength background, it can work for you, and it can scale until you feel comfortable with those movements and what you want to do, or vice versa. You might come from a CrossFit background where you want to do the strength stuff. And
absolutely.
So you should have that knowledge and be able to do those movements.
Absolutely.
So being able to shift over and go back and forth is great. And I think that's the great thing about it, is just experimenting and doing what kind of
it's cool
good for you at this time of your
life. And then if you look at the hardline programming, it's different than what we had at Farmboy CrossFit.
For sure.
Same programmer,
right?
But different, because there's a difference between you working out by yourself in your basement and you working out in a class setting.
Yeah.
Right? So people have asked me, like, Brian, why aren't we doing Fran all the time? Not all the time, but why aren't we doing Fran as much as we used to do in the gym? And my explanation is because you're not going to go as hard.
Yeah, when you're not around people and people pushing you and you have the tunes
and it's
on,
nothing against
No.
you. It's just saying, I know your Fran was a sub 3-minute Fran. It was like mid 2s, which is cooking.
Not 250, not a mid.
Well, it's cooking. But if you were to look at, say, say you were to go, say your RPE out of 10, 10 is as hard as you can possibly go. Let's say yours was 9.5 when you did that 250, right? Let's say 3 minutes, just make it nice and round. And at home, let's say you went an 8.5, and that's still pushing yourself really hard by yourself. You're looking at a 10% down, or I don't know, math is hard, but you're looking at 18 seconds difference. And you're looking at 18 seconds between your 250 or your 3 minute Fran and a 318 Fran. It's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's you're resting more. You're taking a little more break here or there. So your intensity level is not as high. So that's why when we do these home programs that I'm not doing that, because for one, it's not a group setting. You don't have a class, so you're not going as hard, but we can still do it real sneaky. We can go 90 on, 90 off. We can go in a 5 minute window. You're going to do this and have the rest of the time to rest. Because then you're like, wow, I can go hard. And the harder I go, the more rest I get. It's true. But then your RPE goes up, your intensity goes up, and then we're giving you a little time to rest, and then we're going to do it again.
Yeah. So you're really working there. You're working your whole cardiovascular system as well, as you were talking about before. Now you are getting that intensity level where you need.
Yes, that's where the good stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
Good
you
stuff.
See that transformation in your body and in your mind. I think that's one thing is you try to challenge yourself a little bit more. Like, man, I can go get it again. Try to meet that time that you did on the last one, just to try to beat yourself.
Yeah, and what's great, I did a hero WOD yesterday that was built like this, and some hero WODs you're like, this is daunting, and I'm going to get through it, and I'm going to live to fight another day. And yesterday, it was built just perfect that I could go hard on it. And then it was like, I get this time to rest. And then I'm going to go again. And it was a 5-rounder, but I uncorked it. And it felt good, right? But that's sneaky. It's just a sneaky way to raise your intensity by saying, the harder you go, you're going to get some rest. And you're like, hell yeah. I'm going to
rest time comes, right?
It goes very fast, but it's a bait. It is a bait to get you to go super fast up your intensity to give you that Fran-like experience, but you're by yourself. So it's all tricky. So the programming has to be different.
Sneaky,
it's just sneaky way. It's a sneaky way to get you to go hard, right? And then you get some like my wife. They're like, I don't have time to rest, so I'm just going to go at it. It's like you've changed the whole stimulus of it. But you're a badass. You do your thing, right? And I'm not going to argue with her
I think
ever.
our wives do this quite a bit together.
Aaron, I wasn't going to call out your wife, but
yes. The other day it was kind of funny, and I knew it should have taken about 30, 35 minutes.
Yes.
And it wasn't 20 minutes before the time they walked by me to come back.
They don't take the rest break.
Like, hey, wasn't that supposed to go a little longer? And I got shunned. I got pushed away. But
I got told we didn't have time to do the rest, so we just went ahead and did it all.
But you still got to work it. Right?
Different stimulus.
Still got to work it.
But they did work their butts off. And I'm never going to tell them they're doing it wrong. And you're never going to tell them. Yeah. But I was not going to call out your wife. But Aaron, he did. Yeah. He did that, not I. Not I. But I tell you what, those girls work their ass off every day together, so they can do whatever they want. But anyway.
I think that's something that you talked about though before, the Metcon versus the strength. And so I think there are people out there. One thing that some of the programming that we do and people we have on want to do more of that strength or more of that, bodybuilding type. Body aesthetics, right? And so how would you recommend that they get both those in while they're lifting? I know what I'm kind of doing right now. And trying to put into my programming a little bit and just kind of seeing what you recommend if you're wanting that strength, you're wanting that pump, you're wanting to put on mass, but still want that Metcon because I don't want that fluff to come with it, right?
I hear you. And I think the perfect way to do this is, so we've said that strength is our priority, right? So I'll Metcon like 5 or 6 times a week. Obviously, right now is totally different because I'm doing the hero WOD. But when I'm normally going, I'm 5 or 6 times a week Metcon. But I would trim that down to 3 to 4, and then I'm going to add some strength to it.
Okay.
Where it's just days that I just do strength, so I can concentrate on that. So it's going to be that's going to be where I'm going to hit the big 3. I'm going to hit deadlift, squats, and press, or some sort of. On all 3 of those days. So I'm typically going to do 3 strength days, and then I'm going to add in Metcon days where I'm at. right?
Those
So
compound movements.
So
where you
I'm
really
getting
work
those big compound movements that release a ton of hormone that is going to build strength globally across anything. So my deadlift's going to help my clean. My back squat's going to help my deadlift. But I mean, like it's going to help everything. Squats, snatches, everything is built by these
Your
three,
core,
the big three,
yeah.
right? So that's what I'm going to concentrate on and doing accessories for those. And then filling in Metcons the days I'm not doing strength. And I tell you what, you're going to see huge gains in both areas. Because for one, sometimes we don't give ourselves enough rest for Metcons.
Right.
Central nervous system needs rest and our body needs rest. And those strength days, even though you're getting after it, if you're going full strength, you're probably looking at reps from 5 or below, right? You're in the 5, 3, and 1 range typically. It's when you're getting into the 10, 12, the hypertrophy range, that's where you're going to get that muscle soreness and you're going to be like, I can't go tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if you're working on total strength, it's 5 and below, and you're able to go the next day, and then you're limiting your Metcons, and you're probably giving your central nervous system a break, and you're probably going to see gains in both because we probably do overtrain the metabolic
The
condition.
Metcon.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think as a whole in that community, it kind of seems like that a little bit as
Yeah.
we go. But one thing that I found to work is supersetting then, right?
Mhm.
So if you're not, maybe you're not wanting to get a Metcon in, so
Mhm.
you're wanting to just do the lift,
Yeah.
and trying to superset between maybe you're doing your back and your chest,
Right.
or maybe legs and shoulders, or biceps, triceps, whatever that may be, and then you're able to get that cardiovascular
True.
intensity up as
Yes.
well. So you're going for and you might be doing anywhere from the rep range again of 3, but usually you're seeing that between 6 and 12 in that
Right.
kind of range, or even more.
But you're totally separating it
Yeah,
from a Metcon.
separate it from the Metcon,
Mhm.
but you're still able to see the benefit of getting your heart rate up and see those cardiovascular.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. And you're still getting that cardiovascular addition as
Right.
well, but you're not working at a 160, 170 heart rate.
Right.
So you are giving
Yeah.
yourself a break as
Calm
well.
that down,
Yeah.
but able to still maybe hit that lift too. Maybe you're not going for a 10
Mhm.
rate of exertion, but you are about an 8 or a 9. Able
Right.
To hit that.
And then-
still you don't see that
Yeah.
hypertrophy as it's going.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And I think sometimes it's overlooked, and then people are like, why aren't I getting stronger? It's like, well, because maybe you're not going heavy enough in your Metcons. Right. Maybe you're going for, you're going for that time and you're not going for that quality.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when it's a 185-pound squat clean, you're like, I'm going to move faster if I go 155.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, you might, but that's not the intended stimulus. It's a heavy workout, meant to be heavy. And that's where you're going to get some strength gains, or keep your Metcons and go for strength. Right. So anyway,
A lot of ideas out there, guys.
a lot of ideas, a lot of questions. And honestly, we could go on and on and on. And I hopefully not boring anybody.
We did get a lot of them in.
Yeah.
And just try to hit on a couple.
Yeah.
So
And
we
got
can
into the
continue
weeds
to
on a
do
few.
this.
And we apologize, but that's what roundtables are for, just to kick it back and forth. But I tell you what we're doing new today is we got somebody who's trying to make a change in life. We did New Year's resolutions the other day, and we said, what's your why? And we got somebody on now who has a pretty good why. His name is Tucker Baker. That's my son, for those that don't know. And his why is he's got a June 3rd wedding. So he was trying to change his diet and exercise so he can get to his target weight and where he wants to be for his wedding, how he looks, how he feels, and how he's wanting to start his future. So we are going to bring him on and see, what's your plan, my man? Where are you going with
The
this?
great thing is that our backstage,
Our producer.
she's gonna see every bit of this.
I
and-
tried to get her to come on.
She might have to come
will not
on with it.
She's like, I'll work the back end, but I ain't coming on.
Oh,
But
Trey.
is he around to come on? He is. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right, there he is. Tucker, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
We can. We kind of gave you an intro. I don't know if you were able to hear it, but we talked about New Year's resolutions a couple of episodes ago. It's been so long. There's so many episodes that sometimes I get lost. But
Fryer,
basically, we talked about New Year's resolutions, trying to change things and trying to know our why and what we're doing. And we kind of explained yours. You have a June 3rd wedding coming up. You want to start your future feeling good, looking good, and going in strong. So I tell you what, my man, how are we doing this?
So actually, so far I'm on day 7
Yep.
of my new journey, and some things that I'm kind of trying to help myself kind of um, keep me going and keep me honest about my routine is producer Trent actually made me up a book and write all my daily workouts down in there, and then I also write everything I eat throughout the day, including snacks, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
Kind of in my little book, and I just kind of carry that around with me to kind of keep myself honest and make sure I'm doing the things that I need to be doing to get to my end goal.
Gotcha. And so when you started this journey 7 days ago, you weighed in, correct?
I did.
All right. And you can keep that to yourself if you want. But what's your target goal going to be?
My target goal as of right now is 195.
So you're looking about, well, that would give it away. But
Yeah,
you're wanting to lose a big chunk. But the thing is you are making it measurable. How often are you weighing?
I honestly have not weighed, but one other time, and that was yesterday.
Okay.
Last time I weighed.
Are you looking to weigh in like once a week?
Yeah, about once a week.
Okay. And what are you doing for your diet? Like, I know you got Cash that you can always lean on because he's a close family friend. Are you going to lean on him? Or are you going to just, are you and producer Trent just working on a new way to eat? Because I know producer Trent is a very gifted and talented. Her new last name is going to be Baker, but she's really a good baker. Like I've had her products in her baked goods, and I tell you what, they're out of this world.
Yeah.
They were awesome. So is she going to change her ways a little bit and maybe not make all this stuff for us?
I would like to say yes, but also you know yourself, and you do love your baked goods as well.
I do.
You got to keep father-in-law happy.
No, that's
right?
it. So as long as it comes across the street, doesn't stay at the house, right?
Yeah, no. So I'll just have to kind of keep honest with myself and make sure I don't indulge in those sweet, tasty treats that she makes.
Moderation, right?
Okay. Yeah, everything.
Moderation.
Yep. 80% rule.
80%. Is
80%.
80-20.
So as far as your workouts, what are you looking to do for your workouts?
Yeah, so my workouts, I'm trying to do at least 6 times a week.
Gotcha.
You know, whether I'm on the road or at home on my 2 weeks off.
Yeah,
right
let's give him
now-
a little bit of
Yeah.
background. So Tucker works 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off because he's in the oil field.
Right.
So he's gone from home out of state most of the time for 2 weeks. So that's going to be a hell of a challenge. So what are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, this next go around, I'll be on night shift, so kind of backboarding off what you guys were talking about earlier with the graveyards.
Yes, so smart.
Yeah.
He doesn't work.
I
at a
didn't even
graveyard. He
know
doesn't
that.
work at a graveyard, folks. It's just, I guess, what the shift is called.
Call him the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I mean, kind of what my plan is as of right now, I'm gonna kind of go to work, do my thing, and then once I get off my shift, I'm gonna work out, kind of doing the body weight workouts that Hardline has provided me to
Gotcha.
do.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of planning on maybe seeing, you know, if I could take a couple dumbbells up if we have room in the crew pickups or not, and just trying to kind of, you know, stay on top of my fitness journey there. And then once I come back home, you know, not necessarily get away from my journey just because I'm away from home. I can always stay active and, you know, try my best to, you know, eat healthy, which is always a issue.
Sure.
Working on the road, you know, I don't have availability to a kitchen or nothing like that. So I'm kind of trying to figure out what I can do with meal planning and meal prepping on the road with that.
Does your hotel, does it have a gym, or is it like, man, you're either outside using the elements or just the body weight?
Yeah. So up in North Dakota, we've been staying in some man camps, and they do have gyms
Okay.
there. It is pretty limited.
Yeah.
With equipment and stuff like that. You know, they got your treadmills and they got your steel plates and everything like that I can kind of try to utilize, you know, with using like plate snatches or something like that along those lines.
You know what's great about body weight workouts and losing weight?
I know.
That those weights keep getting less and
Yeah.
less.
Every time you see a little
Yeah.
change droplet hit the ground, buddy, that's just 1 ounce
You're
Probably
like,
not an ounce, but
yeah,
a little bit lighter.
yeah.
Next
it's
one's
just
a little bit lighter.
Man, these workouts are getting lighter and lighter. And it's just because your body weight's going down. Tell you what, and we talked about it earlier. All you need is the desire in your body, and you can make any kind of workout that you want.
And that discipline. And it's great to see you're getting on this journey, like you said, and not going to have an excuse when you're on the road, right? Because it could be, the 2 weeks out of
home, I'm going to do great besides Trinity's baked goods. But other
Right.
than that, when you get on the road, you're able to sustain it. You're able to, okay, so let's be smart. I need to have this amount of calories, this amount of protein, this amount of carbs in my diet. Okay, so maybe I got to make concessions, and I'm not eating the cookies that so and so stopped and brought to the oil field. But instead of doing that, I might just go take a run because I got 10 minutes and get away from it, whatever it may be. But then you can hit the restaurants around there. Maybe you're doing the Subway protein bowl. I don't know. Hey, there's another sponsor, Subway.
Yeah. Oh, this brought to you is Eat Fresh. Eat Fresh. And we talked about it the other day with Tucker because his big question was portion sizes, counting macros, portion sizes, this and that, and we kind of went over it. We went back to kind of just the basic. Take the size of your palm. That's the size of protein you need. 2 fists, two of your fists. That's probably the carbs or the vegetables you need. And then size of your thumb is probably the fats you need. Maybe that'd be salad dressing, avocado, nuts, something like that. You start there. If you start there and then you're like, man, I'm low on energy, maybe double those fats. That should bring your energy levels up. But that's a good way to go if you're not good at counting calories or if you're like away from home for 2 weeks. That we got the proud of you Tucker comment come in. That's great. And we are all proud of you. But what's cool about this is you putting yourself out here, out to the people and everybody, because then we can bring you back and we can hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can come on, you can be like, that 2 weeks was really tough and I'm trying to get back to it. Or, hey, man, I crushed that 2 weeks.
And I think people that are out in the field doing the same thing you are or a job similar, they need this too to kind of see and maybe, give them a little bit of hope and a glimmer of what can be.
Yeah, it might give somebody that little extra nudge and it might inspire others. And then you're not working out by yourself as well. So, yeah, we'll see how it all goes down. But we're proud of you, and we thank you for coming on today and kind of sharing your story with us and your plan and what you're going to do. Because before you know it, June 3rd is going to be here.
Yeah. Yes.
And you're either going to be able to look back and say, man, I got after that and crushed that.
Yeah.
Or you'll look back and you'll be like, I may have wasted some time.
Where's
I might not be where I wanted to be. Right.
Where's the honeymoon at?
That's a great question. I'm on board for Mexico.
I think
That's what producer Trent just said. So
I think, it's gonna be just trunks, bud.
Beach season.
Yeah,
beach season.
Take off that shirt and
Yeah.
just let everybody swoon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wax that back and chest. And then go from there.
Keep this though.
Yeah.
Keep the beard.
Yeah. No, this ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, all right, Tucker, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in a couple weeks when we check in when you're back at home from your stint being gone. We'll see how that went for you, especially your first 2 weeks being gone. But we appreciate you coming on. And I think that's pretty much going to wrap it for us. We got through a lot of stuff. We've been on for about 50 minutes.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's one of our bigger ones. It's flown by. Hope we haven't bored anybody too much. And hopefully we had our mic work.
Sorry, I think my mic was off most of the time. It keeps dying.
So but yeah, episode 4.
We're getting better.
We're getting better. Our sponsors are rolling in. I think I got a call from either 511 or Brute Force, or maybe it was Subway. Eat Fresh.
Eat Fresh.
But thank you guys for joining us on behalf of Dr. Trent Kerr and myself and Tucker. We want to thank you for tuning in. And if you like us even a little bit,
Number 4.
or even if you just met us, just know us, don't even know us, like and subscribe.
Just subscribe.
Just like us. It doesn't hurt you a bit, and it doesn't cost you a cent, Aaron Kerr.
Zero.
YouTube's free. Subscribing to us is free, and liking us is free. And you know what? If you don't like
We
us,
like you.
you don't know us. So anyway, Hardline. Oh, look at
Look at
this,
that.
producer Trent back in. Thanks for
watching.
tuning in and subscribing and liking us.
That was
Catch you
surprising.
next week. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Tuck.
Thank you guys.